Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Watercolor Instructions with me. Today I'm going to do another cityscapes. This one is from Cadiz in just close to Jerez. These are the places I've been multiple times. I like this place. So the reference I'm using is from Google Earth. So if you haven't watched any of my videos, I usually start with a value sketch, which is very helpful to know where the values are. And in terms of materials, I'm using a Saunders quarter sheet, a John Pike colors with all the colors. In the end, I will put in a couple of slides of all the colors I've been using and also my brushes I'm using. So watch till the end or slide it to the end. There's a couple of slides or a couple of frames where you can pause and then see what colors I use and what sheets I use. In terms of other materials, this is just a rough paper and a value tone. Help me out if you haven't subscribe and like the video. It will make a big difference. I'm just starting, so let's start with a simple value sketch. So obviously you want to do horizon. So I'll just put in frame so that you know what I'm talking. So okay, so I'm talking a frame there, and I'm roughly looking at that's we're talking about them, and so basically these are all the steps. So what you can't see is that there's a particular shape. Again, also this is a value sketch. I'm not going to put in a lot of details, but it's important to understand where the shadows ends and where the shadows start. So somewhere there. So again, it's a vanishing point. So we are looking at over here. That one is a hexagonal shape. So probably it comes somewhere here. And that's the second structure. A little lower, but that's fine. And over here, yeah, that's where the drawing stops. Obviously you can see a big door, some of the decorations. I'll have to pay a little attention to a lot of details. So the drawing might be a little slow when I'm actually drawing it, because if the drawing is not correct, it just doesn't feel right. So, and over here, we're looking at, yeah, and then not to forget, there's a big tree somewhere over here. It should be here, but I think the door needs to come over here, but it stops over there. And if I do the cathedral first, so draw rough shapes and add more details. And or the tower. And the building goes over here. Couple more shapes. Okay, that's fine. And obviously there are lots of people standing, roughly about the same height. There's more people walking, and the shadow. Okay, so in terms of value sketch, just use one color so that you know what the tone should be. So difference between, sorry, the value should be. Value is the shade and tones are the different variants of colors. So that one is the sky. So I might add a little clouds. I don't know. I'm not worried too much about. So, and I'm looking at a little darker. Okay, and then also I'm going to add a couple of reference lines so that I know what I'm working with. It takes my eye. Okay, and let's build on that. So we're looking at that wall, and then also over here there's a little bit of shadow. I continue. It's just for reference so that I know what I'm paying attention. That's the beauty about value, is you can adjust it, correct it as and when it's needed. Also, there's a lot of, gives you an opportunity to think about what works, what doesn't work. Okay, so, and not to forget, there's a tree, sorry, the bark should be, there's another one. And okay. Okay. So continuing, this particular wall is mostly the same tone. So making sure I don't touch that thin strip. And a little bit of shadow comes over here. Pretty much darker doors. and plenty of okay. So that is a value sketch. So a little, obviously the sun is coming from that particular direction. All right, so that gives you an idea of what I'm painting, and let's crack on with the drawing. So I will post this picture as well so that you know what the reference I'm using. Okay, so when I'm drawing, obviously I'm looking at making it really light, build the big shapes, and then add more details. So that is roughly my horizon. So I'm adding the biggest building, that's almost the half, that shape. So I can see that particular shape. So as I said, this drawing might be a little slow, but it's important I take it a little slow. So okay, so I'm just adding more and more details as we get closer. So it's just slowly building, adding details. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and somewhere over here, this door. Obviously use these as key markers where and how you're adding the details. Other thing in the drawing I didn't mention is that particular section is a little more darker because the color changes. So the whole thing is a tad different value. Okay. All right. So it's got a circular features. A lot more detail, 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 detail. Okay, let me just get the right shapes from here. Well, we're looking at somewhere right there. Okay, so I'm going to just make the thickness slightly wider so that it just has more shadow or light, and then we're looking at the center. And we crack on. We get here, or somewhere here, there's a lot more details. Don't forget the perspective. Always, doesn't matter how good you paint, if the perspectives are off, people might not know something's funny, but they will know it's not correct. Okay, so here, and there's a big blooming arch. So somewhere starts. That one is a curved thing. So I'm not able to talk while I'm concentrating, so ignore if I'm not saying anything. I'm just trying to concentrate on what needs to be done. So this was a little closer. That one is fine. Okay, and there's a lot more details going from here till here, and it's a curved that way, not the other way. It's that way. Other way, and a little smaller. Beautiful. Okay, so almost getting there. I can see the tip. And there's some statue of some sort, which I'm gonna ignore the details. Okay, so that ties to that place. That ties. Okay, so three. Okay. Slightly here. I didn't think the drawing is. It's got a lot of details. I want to add some amount of details, but more importantly, I want to make sure the shape is true. So stays there. And another one here. Okay, and carrying on. Something like that. Comes over here. I can't see a lot of details, but I'm gonna wing it a little bit. Something over here. And that section has a door slightly above till here. More details, more details. So we're looking at about that height, yes. And Okay, there's a window, but there's a tree, and roughly about that height there's a feature and a big poster. Okay, so let's see if we can tie the stairs now. So go somewhere here. Somewhere like that. Okay, that's a tree, that's a building. Okay, that is time consuming, but is an important piece of work. So okay, so till there, and now we are starting with that particular shape. So we are looking at second and third from here all the way till there. Let's see if I've got the heights and other dimensions correctly. Okay. Shapes. Okay. It's all right. So I think I'm pretty close to those dimensions, and I continue with that particular form. Shape, shape, and one more. Okay, so I will add the details. There is a small bell. Now I'm going to try to see if I can retain that. There's a small clock, and continuing with little more of buildings. Okay, so where does this one end? This one ends somewhere here, goes in the back. Okay, all right, that's enough details, to be honest. Bit okay, so there's not to mention the building itself has some features. This one needs to go a little more. And there is two more. And white. And okay. Okay, and another There's a small car. We'll see if we can capture that. Not to forget the shadow. So somewhere from here. And there's plenty of people. I'm going to switch to a smaller pen so that I can get some more details. So we're looking at that height. Little bag. I hope you can see the details what I'm adding. So lots of people with a backpack. Okay, so roughly I'm coming over here and adding those two elderly couple. Okay, not to forget the shadow. I'm going to add a few more people in the background. So I'm just adding more and more people. And let's add a couple more people standing here. So that's okay. And there's a gentleman sitting. Let's make it a couple. Okay. Sorry, it took a little longer because it just took a little longer. There's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes drawings take a bit more longer. So I'm going to use a little bit of gray, ultramarine, or cobalt blue. So I'm going to just come in really thin. It's a mix of cobalt blue, gray, and ultramarine blue. So just trying to leave a little white gap. And I'm going to just soak in the puddle. I don't want it to drain. When you see it, it's really loose. Coming in. I'm just using a mop. Wetting the brush just to bring the colors down. So as long as that one is wet, I carry on. Trying to be as careful with a fat brush like this can possibly do. And the first layer is done. Okay, so it wasn't difficult at all. I'm gonna just soak up. I usually use a hair dryer to dry it quickly, but my kids are sleeping, so I'm gonna soak up that excess liquid and then let it dry. Okay. Some suggestion of sky. Okay. Okay, so next is a little bit of yellow ochre. Just gonna clear up. That one is a little more browner than I want. So I'm gonna try to take some fresh yellow ochre. And continue with the majority of the painting. So I'm going to come in yellow ochre, very light yellow ochre. So very light, coming down. Probably not here, till there. Because that's a little bit of gray. And then I'm going to switch to a little bit of gray. It's a little dark, so I'm just going to dilute it. Not precisely, but I'll just try to navigate with a small brush. Okay, while it's getting dry, I'm gonna just wet the surface so that I can come back, finish a little more yellow ochre on this side, a little darker tone, paying attention around the car, and a little more on that side. Okay. All right, I'm going to switch to a little bit of gray now. I'm just going to use a slightly smaller brush to navigate around these people. Doesn't have to be very precise, but this helps to retain some of the whiteness. So a little bit of throw in a little bit of blue. Switch back to bigger brush. Okay, so that took a while, but that is I'll let it dry a little bit while I crack on with the dry section. So I'm going to switch to slightly smaller synthetic brush. And start looking at the values, making sure you have that as a reference. I'm going to just add a little shadow to areas which needs to be done. So slowly, for sure, you're adding more and more details. Okay. So that is still a bit wet. I'm gonna just come in . Okay. At this stage, I'll have to let it dry. It's too wet. I will see if there's any other shapes which... Oh, that building is slightly a different shape. Okay. That's a bit dark. Okay. All right. So what I might do, which we can't see over here, I'm going to try to leave a little bit of shadow. Make it a little lighter, that area. And then square off till there. Okay. It's still a little wet. I'm not happy to continue, but I will try to add a few more details while everything else is getting dry. Okay, and now I think it's a little dry. I'm going to start adding a few more details. Before adding details, it's time to commit. Okay. So what I'm doing over here is, that's a little dark. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna so adding more and more details. To the darker side. And from here, I'm going to add a little more crimson. So we are looking at about that line. Little lighter. Paying attention for the shadow, that's critical to make it look, there's a bit of a shadow. And add a little more crimson. Making sure I know where I'm trying to stop. So I'm trying to stop Okay, I continue with the other side. So a little darker, that's all right. Continue with that. I want that to be shade of blue. What I should have done is left that. Okay. And also that should have been blue. I'm going to see if I can fix that. A lot more gray. Okay, that's perfect. Now I need a little more stairs. There's no mucking about, you just commit to it and run. Maybe a slightly smaller brush. Continue with the steps. Okay, so that's now if I add a little more shadow, a little more darker. Being a little mindful about people walking, so probably I can add some lighter dress to them. It's hot. People don't generally tend to wear dark color clothes, so okay. So that's the shadow. Also, I'm going to add a little shadow and leave a little sunlight in the center. Okay, and not to forget, plenty of shadow. And okay, so this one is slowly being built. Now it's dry enough that I can handle it. Okay, so we got some red column. Shadow from that side, little lighter. It's easy to just add a little more water to make it a little light. And little so there's a little shadow from a nearby building. Okay. Okay, I'm just continuing to build the story here. So a little more red to the building. Slowly building details. So what would be nice is to see if we can retain that bell. Okay, so that building has enough details. I wouldn't want to touch it. Now let's slowly finish up that car, even though you can't barely make out, but okay, that's fine. Is there any other doors and windows? There is some doors and windows. And that building. So okay, now comes the main foreground. There is a couple more lines over here, a couple more details. Okay. Okay. Some reference of some people. The dome. Some details on that side. Probably needs to dry a little more. I'm going to start coming in and then adding some details. Needs a slightly smaller brush. I'm picking up a lot of dry pigments. So it's just a matter of slowly adding some details. Not to kill ourselves with the details, but just enough details so that we know what's going on. Again, it's a dry brush technique, so I'm just using dry brush. So I'm slowly building in. More and more details. So we need to come in and do something about this banner. So it's a lot bigger. No, we should have put a couple more steps there. And I'm going to come in, make it a little darker here, while adding a few more steps. Okay. Okay, so let's add a little more. There's some banner going on. Sure, there's a little bit of sky, a little bit of text. There's something red. Doesn't matter. Something. Okay. Another drop of shadow in the back. Okay. Okay, now let's add a little more detail to the people in the foreground. So we're looking at okay, so moving on to other people. So a little bit of different colors, lighter shades. Okay, I'm just adding a little more details. So this one I'm going to just wet a little bit, just a kiss of little wet, so that we can let it blend. Okay, slowly I will let it dry a little bit while I finish up these people. Okay. And not last but the least is I'm just going to add a couple of perspective lines. So we know what we're doing. A couple of lights in the back to give an indication that's a car. Okay. Okay, so we just have to finish up the people in the front. So they got a little backpack. Okay, so oh, we got a couple more people here. Can see them. Okay, so I would leave this painting over here. I would also just add a couple more scratches. Oh, we forgot about all the green trees. So I'm just bruising the brush a little bit. And let's add the tree. There's no ifs and buts, just commit to it, and then that's one. That's where the second one goes. And there's the third one. Fourth. There's one here. And 1, 2, 3. There's one in the foreground. Oh, there's a lot more. And there's, yeah, didn't realize there's so many I'm missing out. Okay, so I can hear some fireworks July 4th. Well, the video is being recorded on July 4th right now. And so almost. Okay, so another thing is there is a shadow. Maybe I can add the shadow. A little more detail to the tree in the front. Okay, so also I should see the tree shadow a little. I'm not happy with the way. Okay, I think I call it quits. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and then help me out. Like the video and leave any comments if you want to see further videos on this particular type. Till next time, keep practicing and happy watercolors. Bye.